Well, hello everybody, and a very good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you're watching this. For those of you that are joining us live on this Tuesday afternoon, it's 2:30 in the afternoon in the UK. And the reason this image is a little bit darker than normal is basically I'm trying to avoid putting on anything that creates any more heat than I absolutely can do, because if you haven't been watching the news, then you might have missed this, but it's very hot in the UK, and that is not something that we are very used to. Just to kind of give you an idea of the forecast at the moment, it's currently supposedly 39 degrees outside. For our American cousins, that's over 100 Fahrenheit, and it is, just generally horrendously hot. So if I do start perspiring at any point during this little live stream here, then you can hopefully understand why. It's got nothing to do with the stats or facts I'm about to share with you, and much more about the weather. Anyway, so I thought I would hop on this week to share this kind of Tuesday slot that we've been doing for the past few weeks, some stats from the Voice Consumer Index, talk about a couple of stories that we're seeing in the news when it comes to the voice and conversational AI arena, and answer any questions or comments that you guys have in the chat. So if you're watching live, and I see a few of you are, please do hop into the comment section, let me know who you are, who's watching. It's always nice to know, and maybe what the temperature is outdoors for you, because as I said, it is rather warm. Oh look, here's myself looking at myself. There we are. There's some quite incendiary good news of a pun there, news going on in the UK at the moment. It's very warm. We're not used to that. So where we come to this week is to talk a little bit about the world of voice, and particularly I want to share with you some facts and stats from our Voice Consumer Index study that came out a couple of weeks ago now, and want to dig into a little bit more info for you. Now, while we're on the subject of the weather, maybe we should go and talk about that for a moment. Let's have a look at some of the stats from this year's report. By the way, if you've not had a chance yet to download this, you can do so at www.vixenlabs.co, which is our website. You can go find it for free, download it, and I can also show you this little QR code, which is down here. If you have a second device or a camera that you want to use to scan that, it'll take you straight to it. You can download the report for free. You can also sign up for the newsletter, get more information about other events that we're doing, webinars, etc. So I commend that to you. But let's go and have a look at a couple of the stats. Now then, while I mentioned we were on the subject of weather, and weather continues to be an important thing for all of us, why don't we have a quick look at this? Let's see if I can get this to zoom in a little bit more. So when we look in the UK, the US and Germany, there are certain things that continue to be the stats that kind of carry with us. Let's put the camera over here. The things that people kind of continue to want to do with their voices all the time, right? There is a consistent set of subjects that people always want to do, and those tend to be what we know as like the first party, those kind of 1P experiences, right? The stuff that people always do with their voices when they're using particularly a smart speaker. And the weather, funnily enough, and maybe this is just because we're in the UK, remains to be one of the top use cases. But actually, for all of those stereotypes that Brits always go on about the weather, and I realise that I've started this stream entirely talking about the weather in the UK, it's actually something that we see a lot of here in the US. You can see at the top of all of those different types of searches that people are making with their voice, actually the weather is one of the most common things that we use, particularly our smart speakers, for. So that's a big option. And then when you go down the track here, you begin to see some of the other topics that people usually use their voice for the weather, music, news, and broadly entertainment. Could be searching for event listings. It could be about when someone's playing at a concert, or kind of what ticket prices are to the local theme park. All of that kind of fits under entertainment. But a large swathe of that is also controlling things like IoT devices to manage your streaming services, your HBO Max, your Netflix, your Roku devices at home, or your Apple TV. So we see a lot of that. But when we begin to dig out of those immediate use cases, those things that people do all the time, and we know that people do all of the time, what we begin to see is that you go down into basically a lot more shopping based use cases, and this is the stat that I want to dig into this week. So if you look down this order, we have a bunch of different categories: entertainment, retail, food delivery and restaurants, healthcare and wellness. And the two that top out, particularly in the US where it's most obvious in terms of what people are using their voice to search for across all these different sectors, is food retail and restaurants. And, kind of, I suppose these are the things that most of us doing, right? Day-to-day kind of shopping behavior. And what I wanted to dig into, well, what types of shoppers are actually out there using their voices? And this is where we're going to jump forward in the report. Again, go download this yourself if you want to. It's at the QR code in that corner. I'll put the link in the chat. But let's dig into this stat, and particularly when we skip through here, let's have a look at the market. So when you look at the different countries, people say that ordering a product is actually a top priority task for them. For people in all three of these countries, they're using their voice to do so. And that can also include other things to do with like tracking packages, for example. It can also be around the kind of searching for information about products, as well as also purchasing. But when we think about who does this, well, actually, it's the millennials, and particularly younger millennial age groups, that are most likely to actually make that purchase with their voice. So younger people using these devices, and I say younger people in the broad swathe here, but we particularly see that as you kind of go up the age brackets, that likely to actually make that purchase with their voice begins to tail off. But this is really important, particularly if you're in healthcare, consumer goods, kind of retail, consumer electronics, anything that we kind of use around the house, because that is the main, kind of category of people that have the most disposable income in most cases. They're the ones that are making the primary buying decisions for their households. We often kind of, for many of us that have worked in marketing for over 10 years or so, myself included, I think we often kind of think of, oh, millennials, they're still like that young generation, and they are, but they're actually most likely to be parents. They're most likely to be running their own homes and making a lot of the purchasing decisions. So what that actually means is that when it comes to thinking about shopping and shopping with our voices, actually this is a really kind of crucial part of the puzzle. We need to be thinking about how can we engage these shoppers with their voices. And you might be thinking, well, what does that actually mean? And again, reminder, you can go and download it at the QR code, do a little scan. But what does it actually mean to engage shoppers out and about? Last week, if you scroll back through the feed, you'll find that we spoke a little bit about this whole concept of shopping out and about, and that voice has actually kind of carried over from our in-home habits that we developed during the pandemic out into the real world. We're taking our voices out with us onto connected headphones, onto that type of technology, in our earbuds, in our cars. And what this opens up is a whole world of new possibilities in terms of marketing opportunities for brands. Because for so long, we've had to try and convince people, when you're perhaps doing billboards or display advertising or whatever it might be out in the built environment, we've had to convince people to remember things like taglines. We've had to convince people to remember things like URLs, and obviously more recently things like social media handles and what channel you're on, and what maybe your TikTok handle is, or whatever it might be. And crucially, even if people choose to take that action right there and then, say you're going up the escalator on the tube, or you're going under the billboard on the M4, thankfully you're not driving, you're in the passenger seat, or wherever it might be, and you get called to take an action, particularly a shopping action, there and then, well, actually, most of the time, you're not going to reach for your phone and actually go find the relevant app and get that done. More often than not, we're relying upon people to log that in their brain for later with that call to action. From everything as simple as like listen to this album, to buy tickets for this movie, through to things like what sneakers to buy, and onto what restaurant to kind of go and book a table at. All of those different use cases, which, think about your own experience of just going around the city or the town that you live in, how many outdoor advertising cues you see every single day trying to drive you back to do something, but relying upon basic human memory to take that action. What we're seeing is that now, as people go out into the real world, and particularly as it says in this, particularly those younger age brackets in terms of getting people to make a purchase, they are now having the option of using their voice there and then in that moment to take that action, because they no longer have to worry about whipping a phone out. They no longer have to worry about sitting down at a laptop, or you're kind of going into a retail environment to make that purchase. They can literally turn to their connected headphones. And I'll just give my example again here of, these my Bose Noise 700s. Whenever I'm out and about kind of using headphones, these tend to be the ones that I'm turning to if it's not my AirPod Pros. These have Alexa and Google Assistant built in. They're just one button away. In fact, I don't even have to say, I even have to tap the button. I can just say the wake word. And now we have the opportunity to drive people to make that voice search, or make that purchase, or make that, at least start that journey of discovery with these devices in their own, kind of time, and they're not encumbered to have to remember something that's complicated. They can literally just say the thing that you've asked them to say, whatever that command is. Alexa, go and do this, or ask your smart speaker, or ask your smart assistant for this help. And this becomes really interesting when we begin to think about some of the applications of, kind of inside the retail journey. Let's just jump back into the VCI deck here, and I'll just show you another kind of core stat, which is actually about people outside of the home making purchases when they're actually in that shopping journey. Let's find it here. Yeah, so we've got here nearly a third of people in the US and the UK are actually using their voice when they're actually out shopping. So they're actually actively out there shopping for something in a retail environment. And this is an opportunity where we don't also have to rely upon these kind of third-party devices. We don't have to rely upon the headphones. We don't have to rely upon even the mobile phone. We're beginning to see people integrate voice integrations into the retail environment directly, whether that's into kiosks, whether that's into displays, or actually just simply putting smart speakers and things like that in the environment as well. So custom assistants, these kind of first-party owned assistants in the retail environment, are going to begin to help us complete these shopping journeys. And people already, a third of people being able to start doing that themselves. And that's before we've seen widespread adoption of this. So I wonder what your thoughts are on this. If you're watching live, would love your comments or suggestions of where you've seen this play out. Are you using your voice to actually get shopping actions done? Are you using it to search the web for different products? Are you using your voice to actually make those complete purchases? Because according to our own research, it seems that particularly those in that millennial target bracket, they're the ones that are the most likely to go and do this. So is that you? Do you know somebody that is? So that's what's going on here in the UK. I hope wherever you are watching, you are staying cooler than I am at the moment. I've hit about 15 minutes off of the point where this office becomes completely unbearable as the sun bears down on it at the rear here of the house. So I'm going to wrap this up now. But would love your thoughts, your comments, your experiences. Do drop them in the chat. Would love to hear more from you guys about if you're enjoying these videos, if they're useful, if you're finding them helpful. Then would you do me a great favour and just share that with someone in your network or in your community? Give it a follow, it always helps. And as I mentioned before, do go and download the that's a horrible angle, isn't it? I've been doing that the whole stream. Do go and download the Voice Consumer Index. You can get it for free. It's at this there, that QR code. Just go scan that if you're not already watching this on a phone. Or find it at the link, which I'm going to go drop into the comments right now, which you'll be able to find. It's www.vixenlabs.co. Let's just go put it there for you right now. Make it as easy as possible, all right? vixenlabs.co/VCI2022. You can go grab the link there. Download the report, see if these stats and kind of this insight really helps you set yourself up for a voice strategy. And hey, just while you're actually on that topic, if you're listening and you're watching and you're from a brand or a business, maybe an agency, and you've got clients that want to get into this space and you want our help to help them make the most of this insight, just drop us an email or drop me a comment, slide into the DMs. Whatever your choice is. It's hot. Really, I don't care at this point. But please get in touch. We would love to hear from you. And if we can set up a session to walk you through this details and the data in more details. You can tell it's too hot. I can't speak properly anymore. Okay, I think that'll do it. Thanks so much for being here. Thanks so much for tuning in. Always a pleasure. Thanks for the comments wherever you're watching. I see Donald saying it's hot in New York. I can only imagine. I know what it's like when it gets like that. It's like that here. But the city, very different. Glad to be out in the countryside today. So yeah, that's it. That's the show. That's the bit of content. It was good. It was good to have you with me. If you're watching this after the fact, of course, then hopefully it will have all cooled down by now. We're entering into the bit of the stream where I kind of stop having content to share with you and just want to hang out. I don't know, maybe it's something to do with the kind of working from home so much and not being around other humans. I can just rabbit on into the camera. It could also be the heat. Top tips on the staying cool in the heat: get yourself a big insulated water bottle. Stay hydrated, kids. It's important. Also, cut your hair. How are we feeling about this buzz cut? Yeah, I know. Okay, I think we've hit the limits of how much content we're going to make this afternoon. Stay well, stay cool, and good to have you with me. All right.